Hello everybody and welcome to Mr. Parrot's Meet the Teacher Night 2022-23. On there, I am unable to be there in person with you today because I am currently coaching. I'm the 7th grade baseball coach and we have a game scheduled at the exact same time that Meet the Teacher Night is. So I've made this little video to go through basically what I would go through you anyways, and just so you can put the name to the face here. But I'm going to shrink down my face for a little bit so that I can go over some of the stuff about me and about what science is going to be about this year. So a little bit about me, Mr. Parrot. I grew up in Washington, Illinois, went to school there, K through 12, all that kind of good stuff. I live there currently. So that's kind of just where I'm from. Graduated from ISU, got my master's degree from the American College of Education, where I specialized in teaching science, specifically with like a middle school focus on there. Is overall my 12th year here at Morton. Spent the first year over at the high school before I came here the next year. Overall, it's my 13th year though teaching. Like I said, I live in Washington with my wife. She's up there. There we go. Her name is Erin. We got a 6-year-old, soon to be 7, Blake. Our 4-year-old, soon to be 5-year-old son Kyle. So Blake is the one with the glasses up at the top. Kyle's the one right above me. And then our dog Leo, the beagle. I'll move myself so you can see more of the picture there. To it. So besides being the 7th grade green team science teacher, I'm also, like I mentioned at the very beginning, the 7th grade baseball coach. It's my 8th year doing that. I'm the T3 sponsor here at the junior high, which is the board gaming club. It's my 6th year in doing that, where it's after school for like an hour. We do board games, introduce them to D&D, that kind of stuff, if they're interested in whatever like tabletop kind of situations there. The nerd stuff is usually what I get called. I am also the Morton High School esports coach. It's our 4th year actually doing that. We had some good stuff last year. We had a kid make it all the way to the state level, finished 9th in state, so hopefully we'll be able to get some more stuff going this year with that. And it is my 5th year as the green team leader. Now what it means to be the green team leader is that usually I'll be the one doing a lot of the overall communications, or if you have a problem like overall with something that's being up, you can email and talk to me, and then I'll make sure that the rest of the team gets it. But that doesn't mean all communications come from me. All the teachers will be communicating with you and your student throughout the year there. It's just usually like the big stuff usually comes from me to it. So what your student's going to be learning about in science this year, there's kind of 5 main things that we cover. The first month we cover what we call science skills in our CECR, which is claim, evidence, counterclaim, reasoning. It's basically what has replaced the scientific method, if you're familiar with that stuff from when you were in school. It's basically the new way of doing the scientific method. And then we got what we call the 4 pillars of biology. Because that's what we do in the 7th grade level. We do biology in 7th grade, and then they do chemistry and physics as 8th graders. So we'll do a little bit of cells and kind of what happens in their cells, do some microscope work in there. We'll do some with genetics and heredity going on in there afterwards, learn about our DNA, kind of what all goes in that. We talk about the ecology and the environment, and then we'll talk about natural selection and adaptations. To why certain areas are in certain places in the world, and that kind of stuff, and what makes them more or less successful in certain areas than others. And those are kind of the big 4 like tent poles of or pillars of our class, kind of the big overarching units to it. So how science is graded is that my system is just based off of total points. So if something was worth 10 points, it goes into the grade book as 10 points. There's no like changing it and doing percentages and everything like that, because that gets confusing for me to try to figure that stuff out. So it's just point values in there. To give you a couple of sample grades of how usually the point systems are worked out, tests are usually at 100 points. There's usually about maybe like 1 test per quarter. We don't do them too often in here, but we do kind of give them some of those bigger tests going on with there. Homework assignments can range anywhere from 5 to 20 points. Expect homework like 3-5 times a week. Usually it's like just 10 questions of what we did that day, or maybe it's the final questions, a part of the lab or something from that day. Typically, they will have at least 10 or so minutes to work on it in class before they leave to it. So some kids end up getting it done in that time period. Some kids don't. Certain activities, specifically with our Schoology stuff, if it is like a multiple choice type of thing, they're actually able to take it multiple times and resubmit some of the things. Now, if it's like a document where they have to type it up, usually it's just one shot, one and go with that. But with the ones where they're just like selecting answers, usually I give them at least 2 attempts to get their best score possible, and the best score is what gets recorded in the grade book then. Labs and activities, they do everything in our classroom for labs. I'm going to spin the camera around so you can see the classroom here. So we're in the circle tables, and usually with the circle tables, they're usually going to be with either 1 or 2 other people in their labs and activities. Now what that means is that they'll be partnering up to do those activities, but they're all responsible for their own work. Everybody's got their own document or page to fill out and doing their own work. It's just that they have to collaborate and work together to come up with what that stuff could mean. So there's nobody like Johnny is not being like singled out because he's doing all the work and then all the other people benefit. No, they still have to put forth the effort into doing everything there. And then we usually have projects scattered throughout. There's usually maybe like 1 or 2 within each quarter where they're bigger. Some are worth like 20 points. Some could be like in replace of a test, because sometimes instead of like testing for multiple choice questions and whatnot, it's, hey, show me what you learned through this project. Most of our work will be submitted using the online tool Schoology, so you'll see this symbol a lot on their iPads. Power School is where they go to check their grades, but a lot of their stuff they're going to be using Schoology for that. Papers that don't need to be turned in are primarily things like notes, and those are going to be on paper so that basically they can use those notes as they do all the other activities and stuff. They can have something physical to look at when they go to then do the stuff on the iPad to it. So the iPads will be pretty well used in my class. And speaking of iPads, I'm kind of like the iPad guy for the green team here. So if they ever have a problem, have them email me, or the other person is Mrs. Akers. She is the librarian in the LMC for us. They will know what that is. They can go there in the morning before school to get help with their device. But here are just some expectations so that you know what we kind of expect out of them. Their iPad should be fully charged each day, and it should last throughout the day, especially with our newer ones here. Last year, maybe we'd run into an issue 8th hour or something, the very last hour of the day. But usually, if they start with a full charge and they're using them the way that they should, it should last the entire day. They don't have the App Store. All they have is what we call the Zulu Desk app, which is all the things that the school specifically wants them to have. Our expectations for emails is to try to read them by the end of the next school day, and if it's not important to them, to archive that email so that it's not like flooding the inbox here to it. So try to get them those proper soft skills, I guess, of managing an email account. When not in use, they need to be in their designated areas in the classroom. Usually that's just out of sight, out of mind. They're not attempted to mess with them at all. They're going to need their Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on at all times. That is how we can specifically monitor them, so that we can make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Their email and their Google Docs and like Google Drive, that stuff is all monitored by the district in and of itself, because they're connected through our filtering thing to it as well. As far as when they get their iPads, they'll get them Friday the first week. So if you're watching this on Thursday for Meet the Teacher Night, it should be on that following Friday. If you feel like your student needs a lock on it, let me move my face so that I can cover this part. If you feel like your student needs a restriction on it, let us do it here at school. That way we can write it down and monitor it, because if those locks are put on at home and we don't know the password, we're going to have to wipe the entire iPad to get it unlocked, which can take a day or so to go through that whole entire process. So we would prefer to put the restrictions on it. If you would like to know the code or want a restriction on it to begin with, let us know and we can put that restriction on there. To it. I mentioned I'm also the green team leader, so if you would like to schedule a meeting with us during the day at all, feel free to contact me through email. We're usually available to meet between 10:30 and 11 each day, except for some Thursdays and Fridays, and that's because of already scheduled meetings. But the other days we're free to meet. That's our team prep, so all of us have the same exact hour off, so that we can meet together as a team, and we'd be able to meet with parents too if need be. To it. If you have any other questions about the green team or in science in general, please send an email back and I'll get back to you. My email address is, reverse the screen right there, boom. Brandon.Parrot, that's Parrott. So not like the bird, I'm special, I got that extra T in there, at mcusd709.org. I went a little bit over my 8-minute time that usually we get for Meet the Teacher Night, but I hope I gave you some valuable information, and I look forward to teaching all of your students this year. And I'll leave you with the thing that gets started with every morning here at the junior high. It's a great day to be a junior Potter. Bye.